Hello everybody, hope you're safe and well, and this is our video series for Class 3, Video 3. Again, there's my natural scale sheet showing me the natural scale notes on the fretboard as well as on the staff. And in the last video, I skipped the Swedish folk song in Chapter 4, which is page 29, the tab exercise. And I'm going to go over this one. If we look again, we can see the notes are all higher on the staff, and we don't have anything that gets close to the middle G here. The lowest notes we have are C. We don't even get down to B. So we have basically the notes C and above here, C and above. And there's something that is worth pointing out at this point too, that you're going to see as a musician or a guitar player, whether you're strumming chords or playing notes like we're doing here. Remember, we're playing the melody here. We're not doing the harmony, but the melody. That there's a repeat sign. There's a repeat sign marked here, and it says, when playing the piece, repeat from the measure 4. So when you play up to this repeat sign, you're going to go back and repeat that section again. Notice down here, there's a bracketed in repeat sign section, bracketing in measures 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So when I play those, I'm going to get to the end and go back here and repeat. Whenever you're in a situation where you get to a repeat sign and there hasn't been a repeat sign presented yet, you always go back to the beginning of the piece and then play again. So first time through, second time through. Now when I get to measure 5, I can see there is a designation for when the section starts. And I'm going to play all the way through to the end and then repeat all of that material again. So you could say it's like an A, B, B form. I do the A section twice, or the first section twice, and I do the B section twice. This piece is pretty easy in the sense that it has a lot of repeated notes. So once you find them, it kind of takes care of itself pretty quickly. So if I use the word face to help me find the letter name here, F-A-C-E, that's the high C. There's no ledger line here, so I know this is the high C and not the low C, and I mark it on the first fret of the B string. So I have C, 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 skipped D, which would be the third fret of that string, and went up to E. So there is a skipping that's happening there. And then here is the D that is written in at that point. And then I skipped E, and I go up to F, which is the first fret of the G string. So I had, if I can hold the page here, C, 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 E, and then D, 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 F. That's the skipping I'm doing. Back to E, E, D, D, and then C, long C. Remember what I said, take care of the long notes, always let them ring their full value, okay? That would be repeated, that section, and then I've got, remember, F-A-C-E, that's the open E. Again, easy one to recognize and try and remember. That open string E is written on the first string, and there is no F. I'm going to go up to G there, third fret. Then G, down to F, skipped E, which would be in the space, and went down to D. Again, skipped E and went up to F. These are intervals of a third, 1, 2, 3 notes apart. And you may remember me talking a little bit about the intervals in the scale discussion. In the Zoom meeting. So that's what's going on with the skipping. It's very melodic when you skip in thirds. There's another F that's repeated and an open E. And then the first material comes back here in this last line starting at measure 9. I have C, 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 E, D, 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 F, E, E, D, D, C, C. That's exactly the same as the first line. So once again, if I was going to play this, I would do the repeats. So I'm going to do that now with the guitar so you can hear it. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, 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 E, D, 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 F, E, E, D, D, C. 2, 3, 4. Repeat. E, D, 1, 2, 3. Measure 5. G, F, D, 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 F, F, E, C, 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 E, D, 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 F, E, E, D, D, C. C, measure 5 again. I'm repeating from the middle. D, 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 F, F, open E. C, 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 measure 9, measure 10. E, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, making sure those half notes get their full value. Okay, so I do want you to know what a repeat sign is. I may ask you in a written assignment to circle the repeat signs or label the repeat signs in a given piece. So we'll have to make sure that we remind you of that in any of the reviews that we're doing. Okay, so that is the Swedish folk song. I am going to go on. That was page 29. We already did page 30, which was the lower Ode to Joy. And I might suggest that you, again, try to do some of these worksheets on your own without the answers, in the videos first to see and check your work and see how you do. It is now the point of the chapter where Disler focuses again on the middle and lower notes, like the second Ode to Joy. This is orally. This is the melody that Elvis and his manager used, Elvis Presley, for Love Me Tender. This is a lower version of Love Me Tender. There is, or orally, there is a higher version orally that's in your Hal Leonard book, and we use that as a test piece. Not this one, but the one in the Hal Leonard book. I believe it's on page 14. And again, we see the ledger lines. So I am looking and seeing this low G down here. There is a C, a B on the 5th string, and then no ledger line. That's your open D on the 4th string. There's the open A on the 2nd line, and then the D. I found the ledger lines very difficult to do when I was, I'm trying to adjust that a little bit. When I was a kid trying to learn how to read music, they just confused me so much, and what I found really helped myself is just counting how many ledger lines there are for a given note. For example, G is under the 2nd line, but low E is under the 3rd line, because to my eyes, they looked very similar with all those extra lines written in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tab out orally here, and we'll try to get these worksheets completed in this video for chapter 4. So I've got G on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, C on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, down to B, half step, and back up to C. And then, as we said, we've got an open D here, an open A, and an open D. So all open strings there. And then I'm going backwards, again, backwards down the scale. If this is C, I'm going to the next lowest letter name, a half step down to B, and then to open A, and then back up to B, and back up to C, and then low G. Okay, so there's the first line, and it basically repeats exactly the same way in the 2nd line. I've got low G. There's a little leaping going on here again. I skipped A, B, and got up to C, then down to B, then up to C, then up to open D, and then a leap down to A, which is open, and a leap back up to D. then down the scale and back up the scale. Down the scale from C to B to A, back up to B, and up to C. And again, notice the long note here. This note would last for 4 beats, and I would want to make sure I let it ring for all 4 beats. Then I have a little middle section here on measure 9. Again, if I'm not sure about that note, I could count backwards from G, G, F, E, the middle G that I'm referencing, or I could use Every Good Boy Does Fine on the lines, and that has to be the E. No ledger lines, and it's not in the top space, so that is the middle E on the D string, up a whole step from the open D. Another E, another middle E, another middle E, and 2 more, and even another one, but now I go down the scale to open D, and then to the next lowest note C, and back up to D, and then up a whole step to E. So again, notice that scale-wise motion. If you're practicing your natural scale, you will be playing backwards and forwards through this sequence of notes, and you'll find them easier and easier as you go. I'm back to the E that was in measure 9 here, the middle E, up to F, back to middle E, open D, down to open A, open D. And then C, notice the ledger lines. Again, whenever those ledger lines come in, I'm either on the 6th or 5th string. Can't remind you of that enough. Go down the scale from C to B, then to open A, back up to B, and C. So again, the majority of this piece is played right in this area. Okay, the pitch area of the 5th and 4th string. And I'll play this melody one time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, let me straighten that out for you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. Middle E, 2nd fret, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down the scale, E, D, C, D, E, 2, 3, 4. E, E, F, E, D, A, D, C, B, A, B, C, 2, 3, 4. Again, making sure I take care of those long notes, let them ring. All right, there's 2 very short exercises that I'll include on this video. We might run a little long, but we'll have them all on the same video, and that will be helpful as a reference, I think, rather than making a separate video. So converting tablature to music. So now this is the other way around, visualizing the staff notes when thinking of the fretboard locations essential to reading fluently on the guitar. In previous exercises, the notation was converted to tab. By reversing this process and converting tablature to notation, you will experience visualizing the music staff from the fretboard. Good King Wenceslas and Aunt Rhody on the following page provide practice in writing notation in first position. For both pieces, write the staff notes directly above each tab mark. All of them are quarter notes, black notes with a stem, except the ones that have the little small half notes written above them. Those are to be written as half notes, or in the case of the very last one, a whole note. So remember, there's 4 beats, and every measure has to add up to 4 beats. If I look at the tab, I can see that most of these notes are in the higher register again. There's some open Gs here, but everything is above open G. And if I look at the first tab note that is in both the first and second measure, and I reference it to over here, 1st fret of the B string, this is the note I would be writing in, C. So I've got C, 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 up a whole step to D from a space to a line, back to C. Again, I'm going to color in the note very clearly in between the lines for whoever's reading it with downward stems because they're higher than the B string. So I want my downward stems. And then I've got the middle G, which is a half note. How do I know it's a half note? She's given me a little indication of the rhythm there. So that's not a free note, but it's just an indication of the rhythm. And that stem would go up because it's lower than the middle line or the open B. Okay? And if the next note is going above that in pitch from open to second fret, then I'd be going from a line to a space, and these are all quarter notes. So that's A, back to G, back to A, and then I go up to the open B. So the notes on the G string, as you can see from the tablature here, have stems going up. The note on the B string has the stem going down. Then there are two more C's, again indicated by that first fret on the B string, and those are two half notes. So I've got a half note there and a half note there, and then the repeat sign. Now remember what I said, if there's a repeat sign and no bracketed in repeat, I would go back to the beginning and continue to play that all the way through. There is no other repeat signs here. I just destroyed my pencil. There are no other repeat signs here, so when I get to the next measure 5, I'm going to keep going to the end, and no repeat signs are given here. So I would play the first 4 bars twice, and then the last 8 bars twice. I'm all the way up to the 3rd fret now of the first string, and that is high G. And notice it's on the top of the staff. There's your E from face, F, and G. So I'm going to write that high G. Then I'm going to go down the scale to F, then to open E, and then to D. Right down the scale there, all downward stems, all above the B on the 2nd string. Then I've got open E, down to D, and then a half note C. Back to the G string, but that 2nd fret of the G string, that has to be A, not the middle G. So that's A, then G, then A, upward stems, and then the B. Similar to this note or measure just above it, the notes in the measure just above it, plus 2 C's that are half notes. And then going forward, I've got middle G, A, and B. Upward stems for the G string notes, downward stems for the B. And then I've got C, C, half note D, all downward stems, all in the B string. High G, F, again going down the scale, open E, D, and C. F, 1st fret of the 1st string. I think that's the only F we've used. Oh no, there was an F over here. F, and then C. Whole note, so that gets no stem. Okay, so you're reversing this process. It's, again, not easy to do at first, but the better you know your notes and letter names and the more you try to write these in, the easier it's going to get. Here's Good King Wenceslas with the repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, 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 D, C, C, G. A, G, A, B, C. C, and repeat. C, 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 D, C, C, G. A, G, A, B, C, C. 2nd line. G, F, E, D, E, D, C. A, G, A, B, C. C, G, G, A, B, C, C, D. G, F, E, D, C. F, C. 2, 3, 4. All right, I know we're up to 20 minutes here, but there's only one left, and we've got Aunt Rhody. And this is the same idea, but I want you to notice that all of these notes are now on the 6th, 5th, and 4th string. So we're basically looking at this area and the bottom notes. Okay, and this is where I'm going to have to make sure I've got my ledger lines correct. So I've got B, single ledger line, that's above the A string, B, and there is the open A. G, remember I was talking about counting the ledger lines. I've got 2 ledger lines, 2 ledger lines for another G. So that's this note. The low G, got the right pitch class. And then an open A, still 2 ledger lines, but I'm on the line and an upward stem. I've got another A quarter note, color the note in, and then I skipped B, which would be under the line, and I write in C. I skip B because B would be on the 2nd fret, and here it comes. There's the B under the line, open A on the line, and then low G half note. Now notice I'm on the 4th string here, no ledger lines. I would be, again, if you memorize where that open D is, it's very helpful. I'm on the bottom of the staff. I color in the D, and then I go down to the next lowest note, which would be C. I've got a half note on B, just below the C. Oh, I colored it in. We don't want it colored in. Again, I'm working analog here with an eraser. There's the B. A colored in B. A colored in B. Down to open A. Down to G, back to open A on the line, and up to B under the line. Remember what I said before, do not write a ledger line below a note like B or G. You just write underneath the ledger line and it is assumed it's in the space. Very last note, 3rd fret of the 6th string is low G. Okay, and I'll play this one time for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, B, A, G, G, A, C, B, A, G. Open D. 1, 2, D, C, B, 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 A, G, A, B, G. 2, 3, 4. So at this point, I do want to end the video. Again, we ran a little long with this one, but we did get all of the exercises done that we wanted to present here. I will mention, though, that there is a mixed tablature and notation exercise that is page 34 and 35, and I consider this an extra credit assignment. It is written in your class schedule. This can be handed in up until the 13th week of class. So that's pages 34 and 35, and there's an explanation on page 33. It is a great preparation for our midterm and final written tests. So I highly encourage you to do some practice on the Ferdinando Carulli exercise. It's 2 pages long, and if you want to hand it in for extra credit, you can do both pages and hand it in, and I'll say some words about that in our next Zoom meeting too. All right, guys, have a great night or day or whenever it is for you, and we'll see you soon. Stay safe.